Hi everybody, my name is Angelo and thank you for joining us at Cooking with Carlo at 3B's Bar and Bistro. Today I'll be showing you how to make a Louisiana pot pie. I'm going to list the ingredients for you and give you an idea of some of the stuff we're going to use. Again, if you're making this at home, you can add a different fish or different seafood or shellfish. It's really your preference. But for this dish in particular, I'm going to use a 9-inch pot pie. This was a raw pie shell. I baked it in the oven at about 550 for about 2 or 3 minutes until it started to turn a little golden brown on the crust. And I'm also using a standard pastry puff sheet for our topping on our pot pie. Now, some of the ingredients that we're going to be using today, we'll be using a regular standard heavy cream. It's a 36% milk fat cream. Again, if you have a particular preference or choice, you can use whichever one you prefer. We also have a Idaho potato, carrots. I'm using 4 bay scallops. We're using about 4 ounces, 5 ounces of white Ecuadorian baby shrimp, 2 ounces of shredded lump crab meat, 2 ounces of crawfish, 2 ounces of peas, a little bit of Cajun spice, some salt, some pepper, and garlic with a little bit of olive oil. So let's show you how to get this plate started. It's a very simple dish. It's easy, it's quick, and it's a lot of fun, especially for the kids if they want to hang out and participate. So we're going to start off with showing you how to dice our carrot and potato, and we'll start with that. Okay, so we're going to use about a half, depending on the size of the potato, 3/4 of it, a peeled potato, and we're going to cut them into cubes for our pot pie. We're going to cut them in about, let's say, about the size of your thumb, okay? To little squares. And we're going to put this in a pot of boiling water, and we're going to let it boil for about 10 minutes until you can take a toothpick or a fork and just stick it right through. You don't want to overboil it because then it'll break apart. So you still want some consistency in your pot pie. Same thing, we'll peel a carrot, and we're going to cut it into squares. We'll go long ways again, and then we'll just cube our carrots. Now again, depending on your oven and stovetop, or if it's electric or gas, you just want to keep an eye on it, but I would say about 8 to 10 minutes. So after we have our carrots and potatoes, we're going to turn our pan on. We're going to add a little bit of garlic and olive oil, and we're going to simmer it until it starts to turn a little brown. Spread that out through the pan here. Now the trick is, you don't want it too watery when you add the cream here. You want to reduce it so that it's a little bit of a creamy consistency. Not so much like an Alfredo sauce, you know, in between. So loose, but not too loose. So we're going to add our carrots and potatoes. It's about 1 cup worth, okay? Going to add our white Ecuadorian shrimp. Going to add our lump crab meat shredded. Our crawfish. It's really big in the South, almost in every ingredient. If you ever go to New Orleans, or we're going to add our peas. And a couple pinches of Cajun seasoning. Now again, depends how spicy you like it and how much heat you want to add to the dish. I usually tend to eat my food a little bit spicy. I'm going to add just a teaspoon of butter. Okay, and then finally we add our scallops. Now we let that cook in your pan. And I would say probably 12 ounces of cream. And we're gonna let it sit here and boil. And really, when your shrimp and your scallops are done, which they don't take long to cook, your dish is finished. You want it to be a creamy consistency. And then we're gonna fill our pie shell. We're gonna add our pastry puff sheet. And we're gonna finish it with an egg wash, which you only need about 1 egg. Just crack the egg, whisk it, and we're gonna brush it over the top. When you bake it in the oven, you want it at a high temperature, at about 550, and you have to keep an eye on it, because after you put that egg wash on, it can go from golden brown to black within 30 seconds. So you wanna keep it in the oven probably about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, again, depending on the oven you have. But once we fill it up, we're gonna wash it, and I put it in the oven at about 550 for 2 minutes. Okay, so what we have here is our pastry sheet, and we're gonna spread it out to about 9 inches. Now you have to be careful because you don't want it to rip in the middle. So what I usually do is I'll place my hand on half the sheet, just apply a little bit of pressure, and with my free hand, I'm gonna stretch it out just enough so it covers the pie. We're gonna go on this side, stretch it out. Again, applying pressure in the middle and slowly stretching it, pulling it. And then you can work your way from the middle, because that's your thickest part now. And there you have it. Okay. We're going to get our pie shell ready. We'll check on our scallops here. So here we go. We have our pot pie mix, and the cream is just perfect. It's not too loose and not too thick. And we're gonna add this to our pie shell. Right here. Okay. It's nice when you bite into this pot pie and you grab a nice whole scallop. You can chop it up and dice it. I like to keep them whole. We're gonna take our pie crust. We're gonna just go right over the top. And we're gonna pinch the sides. Okay. And around the pie, right here. Okay. And now with our egg wash, we're going to cover the pie. Now you can use a brush. I like to actually use my hands. I'm just going to pat it down. And there you go. Now it's time to bake. And there you go, folks, our Louisiana pot pie. Not too dark, not too light, and we're ready to eat. I hope you enjoyed our tutorial on making our Louisiana pot pie, and I hope to see you again at Cooking with Carlo on our next show. Have a good night.